So, welcome to the next episode of the How We Make It in New York podcast. So excited to be here on this beautiful day.
Same here. New York weather is really, really tricky. I mean, our winters can be very, very tough, very, very dreary. We get weather here, you
We
know,
have all four
but
seasons.
but now we have some lovely spring weather and it just, it makes you feel good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I think we're probably going to go on like a nice little walk later because we have to savor these beautiful days. Luckily, we live near a really nice park and take the dog for a little walk. But I know it just feels like a total like rejuvenation now that like spring is like really upon us. And there's a lot going on. It's busy. All the restaurants are like setting up their outdoor dining, so it's just like kind of is a rejuvenation.
Yep. And in my world, the legal world,
Yeah.
I help a lot of restaurants. What they need to do is they need to get ready for the busy season. And that means many things. It means making sure that their compliance policies are up to date in their employee handbooks, making sure that they're paying their people correctly. So, again, in my world, that's what I look at. I look at issues that could arise in the hospitality industry. So, what's happening in the real estate world?
Oh my God, they call it the spring market. I mean, well, we have like a lot happening in the world right now, so that's kind of like put a little bit of like a little bit of like a ding in things with like in New York City, just because it's like its own little market. I know outside the city, things are selling like 25% over the ask. It's like totally bonkers. But also right now we're in the thick of the rental market, the very busy season, and like it's insane. I've like never really seen it like this. I have to list something tomorrow, this like prime rental in like Hell's Kitchen, and I'm already like so anxious on how many people are going to call me. I already know it's already rented before it's even on the market kind of a thing.
Mhm.
I want to get my owner the highest amount. So we'll see. It'll go over the asking, I'm sure. But that being said, there is the Fair Act coming down the pipeline, which I'm sure you've heard in the news that it might
Oh,
change
yeah.
how fees are going to be paid. And
Hmm.
I have my own opinions on that, but I think it's unfortunately going to raise rents by a lot, and they're already like insane. I mean, sometimes a studio is like $5,000 a month in New York City. It's a studio, not even a one
I've,
bedroom.
I've seen that.
You don't even get a door. You don't even get a door. So we'll see. We'll see. I actually think maybe we have like another month or two before that like goes into effect, or if there's like a stay on the litigation. I mean, you know all about litigation, so we'll see what will happen with that.
I do. And oftentimes litigation is slow moving. Um,
Hmm.
but almost always it's a very uncertain process. Sometimes it works out. Sometimes parties really get what they feel like they deserve. But unfortunately, I've seen the other end of the spectrum as well. But anyway, we keep plugging along.
Yeah.
And by the way, are you hungry? Because I don't know. I feel a little hungry. Is that because maybe we have a guest coming on the show who wants to talk nutrition?
Yeah, well, we're also filming this around lunchtime, so
That's
that's
true.
why we're hungry. But yeah, no, we have an amazing guest. We have Alli Tallman from Nourished Roots. I'm so excited to talk to her. I met her through another like group that I'm in, and she gave like one of the best presentations when she was the featured speaker, and I was like, we have to have her on the podcast. And I think with summer coming, everyone's trying to get their summer bodies, and like also I really want to ask her about the whole like GLP-1 craze, which I just find like so interesting because we know like so many people who are involved with that. But she's a nutritionist and she has a really amazing social media presence. And I just want to like find out all about like nutrition and like what she does and how she just is like great. So I'm really excited to have her on.
Me too, me too. And I want to know how I can stop being so hungry when I'm on a diet. I just want to eat everything in sight.
I know.
Maybe she can give us some tips.
I think she will. So let's jump into an interview with her.
All right, sounds good.
So, welcome. We have today Alli Tallman. I'm so excited to have you here because I know you through another group that we're in, which is the Women's Empowerment Networking Group, WANG. And I was just actually telling Michael that you gave your presentation and you had like the best presentation. It like left such an impression on me. So we're so excited to have you on our next episode.
Right. It left you
Having me.
Yeah, it left it left Lauren hungry for more, right? For more. I guess that's a
No,
joke,
no
a bad
pressure
joke.
today.
Just let's just jump right in. So just like tell us a little bit about you, your background, really important, your credentials and what they actually mean in the nutrition world, so people can understand your expertise, because that's one important thing I took away.
Yes, yes. My name is Alli Tallman. I'm a registered dietitian with over 9 years of experience working with individuals, helping them to feel more confident in their body, but to do so without dieting. A little bit just about me. I live in New York City on the Upper East Side with my husband and our 18-month-old daughter. I'm originally from Boston. My husband and I, we have lived all over. We've lived in Chicago, Nashville, now New York. We love traveling. We're both big foodies. We love exploring the restaurant scene here in New York, which, as we all know, there are plenty of options. And really, when it comes down to in terms of my work in the nutrition space, as I mentioned, I'm a registered dietitian. Dietitians are ultimately the gold standard when it comes to nutrition advice. I know there's a lot of places that people are getting nutrition advice from now, nutritionists, health coaches, all these, titles now, but really registered dietitians are the gold standard when it comes to nutrition. I went to 4 years of undergraduate schooling. I did my master's degree. I did my dietetic internship, and I do continuing education every year as well.
All right. So yeah, let's get a little bit more into the backstory here about how you started Nourish Roots,
Yes.
right? So yeah, how'd you start your company?
Yeah, so I started my company about 6 years ago when my husband and I lived in Nashville, Tennessee. I started it because I saw a huge need for nutrition and food and eating and cooking and all that comes with it to be easier and simple and just
Mhm.
more second nature. I find that a lot of individuals overcomplicate it, and part of that is due to a lot of the misinformation that is out there when it comes to nutrition and what to eat. So I really started my private practice to empower busy individuals, busy professionals, busy families to help them to make it become easier and simple, because truly it can be, and you need something that will fit your busy lifestyle. So that's really why I started my company, and I've worked with over 1,000 individuals now, helping them
Oh, wow.
to feel
Mm.
more confident in their body, focusing on more energy, weight loss, longevity, and so on.
So
Wow, that's
yeah,
amazing.
that's great. Yeah. So like, this is sort of an open-ended question, but we tend to have a lot of entrepreneurs on the podcast, and
Yeah.
we're always very interested in their journey and what the things that they go through, obstacles that they face. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what your journey has been like so far as a entrepreneur in the nutritionist space?
It is definitely up and down in the entrepreneurship space. I feel like the being an entrepreneur is very different than I expected. I think it's a lot harder than people think. I think a lot of people, they hear that I work for myself and I
You
work
can
for
make
myself.
your own hours.
Yeah, and they're like, you can make
The
your
one.
own hours. Can't
Yeah.
you just take, yeah, can't you just take the day off? And you truly never, and I know for many professions, you never, tackle your to-do list, but as an entrepreneur, you're always thinking of new ideas, and literally you are the one that's implementing them. You have no one to tell you what to do, no one how to do it. So you're constantly thinking of new ideas. So it's the always working mindset. And I truly love what I do. So I feel very grateful for that. But with what comes with that is a lack of boundaries.
Mm.
And I think
Sure.
that has been the hardest part for me as an entrepreneur is the lack of boundaries. And I think especially since having my daughter 18 months ago, really working to incorporate more boundaries so that I can really separate work and personal life.
Yeah, that's definitely. I've been entrepreneur now for over 10 years, and like I still run into that. I've gotten a little bit more comfortable with like the that line and like setting the boundaries, and just like you wake up and your whole day could be like open, and then you'll be like slammed, and like knowing how to like juggle it and balance it and like fill the time and use it effectively. It's like it never really goes away, I think. And I think the people who are like, I get a lot of people that reach out to me that are always asking, "Oh, how did you do that? How did you get started?" And it's like that, like feeling of like, "Oh God," that like it's a little scary, but you need that scariness to keep you going. Otherwise, You would just go
Right.
work for somebody else, right?
Yeah.
No,
It's motivating.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So,
Yeah, yeah. So I know like who some people who you work with, but like in the sense, who's like your most like ideal client that you feel like you've been really successful with? And is there some kind of demographic that you really want to target?
yeah, I work with busy individuals, so busy families, busy professionals. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs actually as well, who, like I said in the beginning, just want to make eating simple and straightforward and more automatic and meet their busy day to day. A lot of people, they try all these diets and different trends that are out there, but the reason why those don't work is you are trying to fit your busy life into this diet mold or something that doesn't work
Hmm.
for you versus I create nutrition plans that are tailored to specifically to your busy day to day. So how to order out when you're traveling or how to stay on track with your goals when you're at a work conference, all these different things, being able to implement a nutrition strategy in place that meets you where you are at. So really busy professionals, but also families. I'm realistic. I don't think, if I was to work with both of you, for example, I would never ask Lauren, like, create your own separate meals. Michael, you do your own meals. Like, that's not fun. No one has time to do that. Instead,
Yeah,
really incorporating strategies that works for the entire family.
that's great.
Wow. So I know every time I try to eat healthier, eat cleaner, go on a diet, I always tend to feel like I'm starving. And like in the middle of the night, like 3:30 in the morning, I have like, Big Macs hovering around my head. And I'm just like I'm
Mhm.
ravenous.
Yeah.
So I know I must be making some mistakes,
Yeah.
but in your practice, what do you see? What are the most common mistakes people are making when it comes to trying to be on a quote unquote diet?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I see so many. A huge one that I see for busy professionals, busy individuals is actually not eating enough, like skipping meals because they're too
Mm,
busy, because they're working too hard, because they don't have the time. And by doing so, that leaves you hungry. And what ends up happening actually is that disrupts your sleep. It disrupts your work productivity, which doesn't help your work in the end, right? So that's a huge mistake I see people making. Another huge one I see people making is that all or nothing mentality. So really being like all in with their diet during the week,
yeah.
but then once like Friday happy hour hits, it's all out the window, and then they start over again every Monday. And that's really why mindset and mindfulness are such key parts of. I use a 3M method with my clients: mindset, mindfulness, and metabolism. That's why mindset and mindfulness are really two key phases of my approach, is helping you to stay on track no matter how busy you are.
I feel
Yeah,
like the whole busy thing applies so much to the New York mentality, which is like where we all live. So like if you're like I don't know anybody in New York who's not busy. Like I talk to people sometimes and they're like, I'm like so busy. I'm like, I know, we live in New York. Like you
Yeah,
have to
no
be
one's
busy.
sitting around
No
just
one's
like,
sitting around doing nothing,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So like meeting you at your busiest life, but a lot of people, they end up skipping meals because they're so on
Yeah.
the go. So really making sure that you're eating enough for your busy day. And that also just gives you more energy to do all those things, including work, but also the things that you love, and take advantage of
Mhm.
everything that New York has to offer as well.
that's right. And speaking of what New York has to offer, we have amazing, amazing takeout options.
Oh, so
Not
many.
even talking about the restaurants, the dine-in eating.
Yeah.
So, what do you recommend to clients who, like you mentioned, are very busy, hardworking, and they just don't have time to cook, but they kind of want to order in? Do you have
Yeah.
any sort of do's and don'ts or guidelines for them?
Yeah, yeah. Whenever a client tells me they don't want to cook, they don't have time to cook, I meet them where they're at. When I create an individualized plan, I can't create time in someone's day to day, or I can't force someone to cook if they don't like cooking, right? So we go over strategies really to educate them on how to order out. Really, when you are ordering out, you ideally want to focus on veggies and protein first. Typically, you can do pretty well with protein if you eat meat. Veggies are the hardest thing to get when ordering out. And really, carbohydrates is what people overeat at meals. Not that you
Mm,
can't eat them, but people tend to overeat carbs. And really, carbs should only be about a quarter of your meal. So when you're building that plate, you want to focus really on the veggies and protein and then the carbohydrate. So you can still order Chinese or Thai or those things that you love, but really focusing on those basics.
That's great. Yeah. I know like Michael loves to order in and I love to cook and we do a combo of like
Yeah.
both. But like sometimes like I get a little like anxious. I'm like, oh, we're gonna order in, it's gonna be unhealthy. And then I like really have to like be like, okay, like what can I order that's like healthy, but it's still gonna taste good, it's gonna travel well. And like I'm sure that's what like something that you help your clients with. So like speaking of that, like what is like the range of services? Because I know with what you do, like, do you go shopping with people? Do you just do one-on-one? Do you prep the meals or do you do like
Yeah.
workshop? Like, what kind of like stuff do you offer them?
Yeah. So I work one-on-one with clients. And what that means is I create an individualized plan for you. So I look at things like what time do you wake up? What time do you typically eat lunch? Like, do you have time to eat lunch? Do you want to be cooking? What are your goals? Like all of this plan that I'm building for you is aligned specifically to your day to
Yeah.
day. So like Lauren, I know you're out and about all day. We would really be doing these options for you, looking at like, okay, do you want to be bringing lunch in the car with you, or are you getting lunch out? If you're getting lunch out, okay, let's go through the options that you should be ordering and really
Hmm.
timing out your food and really how much to be eating. But where the difference comes into play of how this is not just a diet where you're like tracking these things is I really empower my clients on how to make their eating flexible. So say you go out to eat at lunch and it's like a work dinner and all there is pasta, no protein. How to really adjust the rest of your day to still make sure you're meeting your protein needs, for example.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's really actually it's so funny you said that because in the last like couple of months, like I drive all over the city because I have
Yeah.
appointments and I bought a it's so funny, I bought a lunchbox and I like made my
Yay.
food because I was always like I'm in New York. I could just like get something wherever. And what happened was is like there's a hour wait at Sweet Green to get at that
Yeah,
salad. And then I'm like, oh, I'll just eat later. And then I'm start. So I like,
exactly.
maybe I like listened to one of your workshops or your advice, and I started like making my little lunch
Mhm.
bag, and I like have like an orange, and I like cut it up,
I'm so
and
proud of
I
you.
know, I know. So like success, but I bring it with me because what I
Yeah,
find is like sometimes I have downtime in the car because I'm driving. Like, what can
yeah.
I eat while I'm like sitting in New York City traffic? And so I have this like little lunch box, and I bring all my little snacks, and sometimes I don't even finish everything, but like. I know that I have like food and it's healthy and it's like clean and it's also cheaper. Like do I need that $27
Yeah.
salad? No, probably not.
And the thing about that too that I always remind clients is like you doing that, even though maybe it's not like 100% perfect, that is
Yeah.
better than you skipping that meal.
Yeah.
That is better than you
Yeah.
skipping, which a lot of people do when they don't have the time or they look at that sweet green line and they're like, oh my God, I can't. And then you wait until dinner.
Yeah.
It's better
Or
to
having
do to eat something rather than
yeah.
nothing.
Or having like two coffees and then like the sugar and
Yeah, by 4 p.m., you're just like done for the day.
yeah. Yeah. No, for sure.
So, we're all different and not everybody is as lucky as me, meaning I can literally eat almost anything and
Anything.
be okay. There
Yeah.
could be some repercussions, but I'll usually get through them, as opposed to my wife who has a very sensitive stomach.
Yeah.
But do you
Whatever you want.
specialize in helping people with any particular dietary restrictions or health conditions that these individuals may need a plan specifically tailored for them?
Yeah. So I mean, I don't have one type of disease state or chronic condition that I work with. I actually really work with most things. So individuals who have a sensitive stomach or um, avoid meat or are dairy free, whatever it may be. When I started my career as a dietitian, I worked in a hospital for 4 years.
Mm.
And that really gave me a good basis for a clinical background in nutrition. What I mean by that is looking at like different past medical histories, looking at different food intolerances, food allergies, things like that. So I really have worked with it all. Truly, I would say the only thing that I really don't work with are eating disorders, which I just refer out.
Oh yeah. That's like a whole,
Very
well,
special,
that's very
very
specific.
specialized. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I unfortunately know somebody who has a very severe eating disorder, and it's also like there's a mental health portion of that, and like just the food. Yeah,
Yeah,
um,
so when I'm, creating an individualized plan for someone, I'll look at things, if someone tells me, oh, I like my stomach can't handle dairy, like their plan isn't going to have dairy on it. If
yeah,
I worked with someone yesterday who she wants to eat meat, but like meat once a day for dinner and lunch, she wants plant-based. So that's what we're working on is really creating an individualized plan tailored to your needs and ultimately your lifestyle, because nutrition is so much more than just your needs. It's really meeting your life where you're at as well.
Mm.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I mean, I think that whole approach is so important because like I know me, like I'm on like social media and I'm like, oh, and like scrolling through and like what works for that person and they look like how they look is not going to probably maybe won't work for me. But kind of like thinking on that vein. So the one thing I'm like dying to ask you about is the whole injectable medication
Oh
thing.
yeah.
Sure, because so I know a lot of people who've been really
Mhm.
successful with it, and
Yeah.
like I can't even they like lost like half their body weight.
Yeah.
But like, what are your thoughts on that? And then also trying to figure out diet. What do you have any like thoughts on? I guess
Yeah.
what's the term?
Obviously,
Semi-gluten? Is that what
semaglutides.
the
Yep. So
semi-glutides? Okay.
yep, GLP-1s, weight loss
Yeah,
drugs.
yeah, GLP-1s, yeah.
Um, so my thoughts on them, I would say I'm not against them. I think everyone has to choose their own path when it comes to their health. What I am against is someone just going on one when they haven't tried to make changes for a significant time with their diet and exercise. A lot of individuals I find are just going on it as a quick fix. And
Yeah.
right now, research is showing that you are losing muscle mass, not fat, actually. And you would want the reverse when you're losing weight. You want to lose fat, not muscle. And you actually need to be on it for the rest of your life in order to really ultimately keep that weight off. So a lot
Yeah.
of individuals who are
Yeah.
losing weight are gaining it back. And for me, that's a lot of money or a lot of energy to spend on something that's not going to work. Um,
Hmm.
Now, I have worked with some individuals who've been on them who work with me as they're tapering off or as they're on them to keep that weight off. And I'm fully supportive of that. But, I think long term, there still needs to be more research out there too on that.
Yeah. It kind of
Mm.
came on so quickly. It was
Yeah,
like it like just I heard about it from someone like 3 years ago, and then it like just started, and then it like exploded. And I mean,
I
the one
know.
person I'm thinking, like she like lost a ton of weight. She still looks amazing. I think she's off of it, so I'm whatever she's doing, great. But
Yeah.
it's like, what's like gonna like where is this like going as you age and like,
I know. That's where I think more research needs to come out. So
yeah,
I'm skeptical of that. But again, everyone needs to make their own decision for their
yeah,
health. And if it works for someone, then amazing. But the most important thing is it going to keep you're taking it for weight loss? Are you gonna be able to keep that weight off?
yeah,
Mm.
for sure. So one of the other things that I'd sent it to Michael because you do like these like online uh like seminars, you have like all like you have like
Yeah,
a great social media presence. Um so is that where most clients really find you? Is it social media? Is it partnership? Obviously we were in some like networking things like referral, but what do you find like the most successful? Because you
it's
do a great
honestly
job.
it's honestly all the above. I think one thing that, for any entrepreneur, I would really recommend. I mean, there's people think it's social media. I mean, I do like social media. It's really a creative outlet for me in my business, but really networking and building
Mm,
relationships with people,
yeah.
whether it be collaborations, referral partners, or even just your current clients, really getting them to refer people to you, building a close relationship with them so they trust you to be able to refer their family members or their friends. Like building relationships with people in your network is one of the most crucial things to getting those referrals.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, we all have hopes and dreams and
Mhm.
ambitions. So, tell us a little bit about the goals for the next 5 years and beyond for Nourished Roots.
Yes. Well, obviously, I hope to continue to be able to support women one on one. The amount of women that have told me after working with me, and it's such a beautiful thing for me to hear. Yes, women come to me for weight loss or, whatever it may be. But when women tell me that I've changed their life, the way that they view
Oh,
food, the way that they feel in their body, it's such a powerful thing for me. And I really hope to continue to be able to do that. In terms of business, I would love to. I think one really common thing I hear in my community is just getting overwhelmed with like recipes and grocery shopping and things like that. I always am thinking of some type of recipe platform or something I could
mm.
create to make it easier for people. I've absolutely no idea what that would look like, but I think that could be a really beautiful thing for my community. Um,
Great.
on a personal level, I think just, continuing to strive to find that boundary, as I mentioned earlier, and to really find that ultimate balance where I can do what I want to do in my business and truly love the work I do, but also be able to be fully present when my daughter is home from school and, be able to be there with her without thinking of work. So that's something I'm working on and hope to continue to do.
Amazing.
Always a work in progress. So that brings us to like our pivotal question that we ask everybody. Um, what is the one piece of advice that you'd share about how to make it in New York? Because like you're it's such an inspiration. You have like a child, you have like a business, you're like doing it in New York. But if you had to like kind of dial it down to that one tagline, what would it be?
Yeah. Honestly, I would say what I brought up earlier about networking and making connections with people. I think it is so powerful. You just never know where you're going to get the next referral from. And I literally got a referral, for example, I was getting my nails done and I was chatting with someone who's there who is a recruiter. And she and I grabbed coffee like 2 weeks later, and she referred someone to me, her friend. You just never know where you're going to get a client from. And it's all about networking and building connections with people. And that's part of the grind of being an entrepreneur. But I really viewed the networking component as being more of a social aspect for me in my business since I work me, myself, and I viewed it as a social, more positive outlet. So I think that's something I would recommend to individuals.
Amazing. Yeah. Networking is key. And New York City, there's so it's like overwhelming. Like I'm sure
Exactly.
you get like sometimes I get so many invites to things and I'm just like,
Yeah.
ah, how do I like
You can't do it all. You definitely can't
yeah,
do it all, but I think just being open to networking, and
yeah,
if you
yeah.
are just getting started, I only moved to New York a couple years ago. I reached out to people, met people online via Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, and reached out asking them for coffee. And
Mhm.
you do have to put yourself out there, which can seem scary, but it is so beneficial in the end.
And I think there's also that person who like loves when people reach out. Like there's just like
Absolutely.
that like person that has that that networker in them
Oh
and
yeah.
they like always and it's so nice too when they're like, "Oh, I would love to have coffee with you or I'd love to jump on the phone or
Yeah.
like love to help you." And like it's that like kind of like they want to everyone wants to help each other, we all want to grow together. And it's so nice when you run into people like that and they want to just genuinely like help you and then, eventually maybe things like come around, but people who just want to like give you a little bit of their time and you just don't ever know where that connection will lead to. It's
Exactly.
great.
Exactly. And it's such a beautiful thing when it does come together. It's
Yeah.
cool to see.
Amazing. So, where can everybody find more about your company? Do you have like anything upcoming? How they can work with you? And we're going to put all of this information in the show notes so everyone can click on it and find you. But you have so much like everyone needs to check out your content because I follow you on social media and I'm like, oh, that's so good. Like I am, even though I don't always, I share it. I send it to like some friends and my sister. I'm like, oh, this is
Gosh,
like
you're
really good
so
advice. So, you have a great stuff. So, where can they find you?
Thank you. Yeah. So if anyone listening loves, my approach to nutrition, my 3M method, you can apply to work with me one-on-one. If you are ready to take it to the next steps, I'll put the application in, I'll send it to Lauren to put in
Mhm.
the show notes. I also have a free masterclass that is for individuals who want to put an end to the yo-yo dieting, who want to lose weight while boosting their metabolism, feel more confident in their body really help you to feel like the most confident version of yourself. Totally free masterclass. You get a meal plan, you get a workbook for accountability as part of it. I will put that in the show notes as well. And then lastly, like Lauren said, I'm on Instagram. So if you are just like wanting to give me a follow for some recipes, for some other like tips and things like that, we'll link that as well. And I'm always happy to connect with people on Instagram as well.
Amazing. Michael,
Fantastic.
yeah.
Well, I'm getting hungry. I don't know about you.
I was gonna say our last question
Time for
actually
that
should be,
mid-afternoon snack.
what should we have for dinner tonight? Because that when you become an adult, that's the age-old question. What are we
Oh
having?
Right.
yeah, my husband and I around like noonish when I'm eating lunch. That's always, yeah. I
Although,
mean, are you guys doing
uh,
takeout or are you cooking? Who's
actually, I should get a plug for what I made last night. I think I'm really proud of myself. I made like a homemade like kind of like harvest bowl with quinoa, sweet
like
potatoes,
amazing?
feta, spinach. I thought it was really good, right, Michael?
You know,
It was pretty good. Yeah.
Lauren, as someone who loves sweet green, one thing I would recommend to you guys is look at Sweet Green's menu online or
Yeah.
Kava or Chopped, whatever, and just try recreating those at home. Like their bowls,
Yeah.
their salads. That's a really fun way to not feel like you have to find a recipe, but just to make it a little cheaper too.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you could, a lot of that stuff when you make it, you have to like batch it and like you could just have it left and it's great. It's great.
Exactly. Yeah.
Amazing. Oh, this is so good. Thank you so much for joining us. And all the info will be in the show notes. And let's get ready for our summer our summer bodies. Let's get our habits going because the weather's
Thank
like
you.
getting nice.
Oh my gosh, it's
Yeah.
Take
beautiful.
control of our health. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you
All
for
right.
having me.
Thank you, Allie.